Welcome back to the vlog. I think you guys are going to really like this one. It's lots of action with deep stacks. I also like to say thank you to all those who responded with their location and where they play and how much they're enjoying the vlog. It really makes me feel good, and I appreciate all your support. And hopefully I'll get a chance to make a visit to some locations and meet up in person. Anyway, sit back, relax, enjoy. Here it comes. Playing at Capitol Casino. We're in a 1-3 game for $1,000. It's playing very deep and pretty aggressive. So far, I haven't been able to put anything together. I've been losing constantly for the last 2.5 hours. My stack size is about $610 at this point, and I finally pick up a pair of aces. Most of the game has been played with a straddle on it. This time there is an $8 straddle. And with two aces, I'm definitely going to be raising. I make it $30. It's folded back around to the player in the straddle. This person definitely likes to defend his straddle, and he's not afraid to put money into the pot. For a second, it looked like he wanted to make a raise, but he eventually just puts in the call. So just the two of us are headed off to a flop with $64 in the center. Flop comes out pretty good. It comes out 9-4 deuce with two clubs. Can't ask for much more. We got an overpair. There's a possible flush draw out there. I put out a bet for $30. He doesn't think too long before deciding to raise it up and makes it $100. Well, it looks like our opponent has something. What could this mean? Well, he could have a flush draw. He could have a 9. Could have flopped a set. Maybe even two pair. He does play a very wide range. Or because he looked like he was going to raise pre-flop for a moment, I thought maybe he had just an overpair like 10s and jacks. He would play aggressively. Turn card comes as a 5 of diamonds. Really a complete blank. I guess it brings in ace 3 of clubs if he had such a hand. My opponent insta-jams all in for my effective stack. I have about $480, $500 left. Normally I'd just say this kind of overbet is indicative I'm just totally beat here and I should probably just fold. But he is the most action player at the table, and he gives a ton of action, and so he should get a ton of action. I still have a strong hand. I beat a ton of his bluffs, flush draws, overpairs. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to stick it in here. I'm going to gamble with my last $500. Hopefully I can suck out if I'm beat. River card comes as a 7 of hearts. He rolls over, top set, and I feel like a complete idiot. Time to rebuy. Well, I just got beat with pocket 9s. Maybe this time 9s will work for me. There's a $6 straddle and a slew of callers. I raised it up to $56 from the small blind. Well, 3 of the players decide that their hands are definitely going to be worth a call. Player who originally straddled, one at the end of the table, and then the other player in the cutoff. So the 4 of us are going to go see a flop with $234 in the center. Come on, 9 one time. One time. Flop comes out. King 5-5 with 2 spades. Not the greatest flop. I thought about leading into this, but I decided with 3 other players just to check it. It gets checked around to the player at the end of the table who puts out a bet for $100. Most likely this is just a king and I'm going to end up folding here 99 times out of 100. But the player in the cutoff goes into the tank, and when he was tanking, this player at the end of the table looked very, very uncomfortable about his hand. Like maybe he was on a flush draw and that he didn't want to get called. So after the player in the cutoff folds, I decide to make another very loose call and put out the $100. I figure the worst thing that's going to happen is this is going to get checked down unless the player has a 5. My hand looks very strong, like I checked a hand like ace king or king queen, maybe pocket aces. Maybe I'm slow playing a real big hand myself. So I don't think I'm going to get too much more pressure. And if a ace comes, I think I have a good shot at stealing this. Turn card comes, eight of spades. Well, the flush got there. I'm just going to give up on this right now. I check it over, and my opponent checks it back rather quickly. So it looks like he has top pair and is afraid of the flush. So I got a free flush draw of it. I don't think I'm going to be able to get him off a king. I check it. He rolls over king jack, and he takes this one down. Punted an extra $100 that I really didn't need to. The aggressive player from seat 5 who beat my aces opens for a raise to 18. I'm going to try to isolate him with ace 10. It's not a real strong hand, but I have position, so I make it 65, and he puts in the quick call. Flop comes out 10 high with a 9 and a 7. Really good flop for me. Now, it probably hits my opponent's range a little bit harder than mine, so I'm going to keep that in mind. But I get the feeling that he's going to try to bully me off this hand, or bluff me off this hand. Since he showed me the nuts on the previous hand when I had aces, I think he wants to, force me out. I most likely would have bigger cards than this, maybe an overpair. He leads into me for $125, rather a large size bet. Well, I think I'm just going to be calling here and let him bluff it off. The turn card is probably the worst card in the deck. It's the Jack of Hearts. It completes everything. I mean everything. If he had a hand like 7-8, 9-8, 10-8, he made a straight. If he had Jack 10, he beats me. If he had Jack 9, he beats me. He might already have two pair. I just got top pair. And he fires for $150. This is not a good spot. Against a regular player, I'd probably just give this up. But against him, he's been bluffing like crazy. I decided to put in the call and see a blank on the river. Great card on the river. I wasn't looking for my hand to improve. I was just looking for it to not get worse. I think he's going to continue to bluff off. If he's bluffing, he bets $200. It seems like it's a value bet, but my experience, I've seen him make this kind of bet before, and I believe it's a bluff. I just have to be right about 25% of the time. So it's not a comfortable situation, just because he is so likely to be making a move right now that I'm just going to have to look him up. So I make the call. He says good call, and then he turns over king 7 offsuit. Well, that was the first real pot I won today, and I had to make a crazy call to do it. Here I got pocket deuces. I've been set mining quite often with stacks this deep. People tend to, go off a little bit more. So player raises, I call along with one other player. We go three ways to a flop with $75 in it. Flop comes out 10-8 deuce. It's check to the player who I just beat out of that last pot. Only thing that was unfortunate is he got caught bluffing twice more in the next couple of hands, and his stack has been diminished down to $90. The other player folds out, and here I'm just going to call. Turn card comes as a king. I check it to him. He shoves all in. I snap call telling him that I have a set, and we end up winning this small pot. Wish he had a bigger stack when I flop a set against him. When he flops top pair, top kicker. Oh well. Well, I've been staying patient and find my way back. Here I pick up 5-4 of clubs. I'm only down $600. I'm in the big blind. There's a small raise. I put in a call. When we go three ways to a flop of 5-4-3 with two diamonds. Great flop. First player checks. I check to the aggressor player in the middle position. He bets out a large size of $50. The player to my right puts in the call rather quickly, and I'm thinking that he might have something really good. Normally I would just check raise this and go with it, but the stacks are super, super deep, so I decided to call and see what happens on the turn. And the turn card's an awful 3 of spades. So now if someone had an overpair, they'd have me beat. If they still have some sort of flush or straight draw, I got them. We check to the opponent in middle position. He puts out a bet for $100. I'm not really comfortable. Player to my right calls. I think I'm just going to have to call and see what happens on the river. River card comes as the 10 of diamonds. Awful, awful run out here. First the 3, now the diamond. I check it over. The player in middle position jams all in, and he has $650 in his stack. Obviously, I'm going to be folding here. I was just curious what the player to my right, I thought he was on some sort of draw, like a straight draw or flush draw, and it looks like he got there. He ends up making the call for the $650. Naturally, my hand is no good here. I'm just going to end up folding. I was trying to think if I checked raise the flop, how big I would need to do it to get someone off a flush draw. If he has a straight draw in the flush draw or a pair in the flush draw, they aren't going anywhere. So I was kind of relieved when I saw that the main opponent had queen 3 of diamonds, a pair in a flush draw. I was just doomed. All right, here we go again. There's a $6 straddle. Player opens for 30. Gets 3 people who call the 30. I'm in the small blind with ace, king, offsuit. Yes, I'm going to raise this. I make it $200. Probably not large enough, but I guess it really doesn't matter when the straddler decides to make it $600. Nothing like getting cold 4-bet from the straddle, and he is a very good player, and he's not afraid to play big pots. So I'm not really loving my position. The only thing I feel that's going in my favor is that he's probably the only person at the table who's running as bad or worse than I am. He's lost a couple really big pots, and I know it shouldn't come into my decision, but it does. And when someone's running hot, you kind of want to stay out of their way. And when someone's running bad, well, that's the person you want to be gambling with. All the other players fold after tanking for some time. I figure he has a very strong range, something like jacks plus and ace king. With that, I just need 40% equity to make a shove correct. I got a little bit over 40% equity, so I'm just sticking it in there. He snap calls. He asked me if I wanted to run it twice. I told him I always run it once. Told him he's probably ahead of me at this point because I only have ace king. And he says, I got the same hand. So he turns over his ace king. I show him my ace king, and the 2 losers finally chop a pot. The very next hand, player opens for 40. 2 people call for the 40. I got 2 jacks on the button. I make it $250. Player who opened for 40 tanks for a while. Think he has a pretty solid hand here. I don't think he would call a big raise without something. But once he does call, I know he's a sticky player. He puts in the $250. It gets folded back around to the player to my right. He tanks for a long time, and he also decides to put in the call for the $250. Well, this hand plays a lot easier if you're playing heads up. Makes your decisions a lot clearer. Here going 3 ways with $800 already in the pot against a sticky opponent and one that is playing pretty loose at the time. Flop comes ace, deuce, 3. Well, they both end up checking to me. Here, I think I should c-bet, but to tell you the truth, I just chicken out. Turn card comes as a 9 of hearts. I'm thinking, well, maybe I should have c-bet after all when they both check to me again. A delayed c-bet I thought would look a little fishy, and I don't think they would fold. As I said, these are sticky players, and if they don't have an ace, well, I might be in the lead. So let's go see a free card. Well, that free card happened to be the 5 of hearts, which puts up a straight or end up flush. I don't think anyone has a straight here. Possible there's a flush. Someone might have the ace of hearts with another heart. First player leads out for $500. Player to my right ends up folding. And of course, I played this hand so poorly, I'm just going to end up folding this also. He did show that he had me beat all the way. He had pocket queens. A c-bet might have won it on the flop. Well, I'm 5.5 hours in. I got about $9.50 left in front of me. I look down at 2 kings after one player limps after the straddle. I make it $40. It's folded around to the player who just won with pocket queens on that last hand. He puts in the call for the $40. Now it's folded to the small blind, who raises to $196. Oh, yes, I bet you're starting to salivate already. Player re-raising me when I have kings and I'm hot and I'm stuck and I'm 5.5 hours into my session. The only thing is that this player has been playing the tightest at the table all session long. He's up over $1,000. He has his chips racked up like he is ready to leave. I think this is probably going to be his last round. And you know what? Tight players who have their chips racked up and are ready to leave, yeah, it feels like aces to me. I can't hide from the fact I have kings. Normally I would definitely re-raise this, but I'm just going to put in a call. And basically I'm set mining at this point, hoping to hit a king and then double through him to get even. Flop comes out Jack 6-5. There are 2 hearts. I do have the king of hearts. He jams all in for my effective stack. He has me covered, and I am definitely not in love with it. The hand range I put him on before the flop was aces, kings, and maybe a few queens. I don't think he would do this with pocket jacks, so I don't think he has a set. I think he most likely has aces because I have kings. There's only one hand of pocket kings left. Yeah, this just sucks.
Fuck me.
I'm pretty hot. I'm pretty stuck. It's been a horrible day. And going bust with 2 kings doesn't seem so bad. If you run into aces, you run into aces, right? Everybody will say, hey, there's nothing you can do about that. There's no way you could have known that he had aces here. Well, there is a way I can know. And from all the information I've just told you so far during the hand, if I make this call, I'm probably going to just go bust and then head on home, cry about my bad luck, and maybe Zeus would give me some good coaching about how I should c-bet with pocket jacks. But instead, I decided to make a very disciplined fold in a very tough spot, save my remaining $750 worth of chips, and fight on. I showed my hand to see if the player would end up showing theirs, but they did not. Most of the people at the table thought I was a complete idiot for folding, except for one player who later told me that he thought it was a good fold. The following day, I ran into the player at the end of the table who played this hand against me. It was an unprompted conversation, and he did end up telling me that that was a great laydown and that he was very disappointed I got away from 2 kings. Well, I've been playing for about 40 minutes with that 750 I saved from the previous hand. I did not get video of this hand, so please excuse that. Player opens for 15 from the hijack. I'm on the button with 2 queens. I make it 45. Player in the big blind, who's the good solid reg, who's been running really bad, makes it 125. I'm pretty sure he has a powerful hand. It's folded back to the opener, who asked me how deep I was. Normally when someone asks that, it's they have a hand that they're thinking about going all the way with, possibly ace king, ace queen, or maybe a medium-sized pocket pair. So I tell him, he calls. I decide just to call and see a flop, which comes out 10-8-5 all hearts. I do have the queen of hearts. My opponent in the big blind decides to continuation bet for $250. This is not a good situation, of course, but I do have an overpair with a heart. The other opponent looks at his cards like doing a heart check and then decides on a fold. I think he had something like ace king without a heart. Now it's to me. Definitely could just shove it all in here now with an overpair and a heart draw, but then I'll lose all his bluffs. I decided just to put in the call, and we see a turn card of a 9 of spades. My opponent doesn't think too long before shoving all in, or he puts me all in. Again, I got an overpair, I got a flush draw, I pick up a gut shot straight draw. I'm not going anywhere. I put in the call, and we're going to go see a river card, which is a king of clubs, not a great one. He turns over pocket jacks. Yay for me, I can beat pocket jacks. I show my queens, and the other opponent who folded out said he did in fact have ace king, but he had the ace of diamonds and not the ace of hearts. But he would have definitely been calling if I shoved all in pre-flop. So I think I won it the only way I could, and I'm getting closer to even. Well, I continued to play for about another hour or so. Nothing else happened. Basically a couple small pots here and there. All the excitement dried up when the 3 of the big stacks decided to leave. replaced by a bunch of smaller stacks, and I was tired. It was a long day and it was a rough day, so I decided to pack it up, head on home. A loser. Yes, I did lose. It does happen. End up losing $240, which is a hell of a lot better than losing $2,000. I didn't play my best today. I should have saved some money with the pocket aces hand. It was a tough spot. I went the wrong way on that decision. And then should definitely c-bet those pocket jacks, turn my hand into basically a bluff. If I get called there, then I can go ahead and surrender. But if I just c-bet for 350, player with pocket queens is probably going to end up letting it go with a player behind him. And of course, I saved 700 and change with that pocket king's hand. I just felt like he had aces. He had to have aces there, and I made a good lay down. Gave me some ammo to continue fighting. If I call with that hand, I'd probably go home loser of $2,000. But instead, I was able to battle back and only lose $240 for the day. So I appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed the hands. And if you did, just hit that like button and tell a friend. And maybe they'll follow me and I can get some more subscribers. Until next time, good luck at tables, and we'll see you back here soon.